Hello, you guys, and welcome to the first ever episode of Rellatable. Those of you that know me have known that I've been talking about this for the longest time. So I'm so excited. I'm thrilled. I don't know when this episode is coming out, but for reference, my birthday was yesterday, and I chose to start today because this is a new path for me. And what better way to start off this new year than doing what I love and what I've been passionate about for a long time. So before I get started, I just want to thank Gravity and Luisana and Douglas for having this space for me to record my podcast and just having a space for people to be creative and have their dreams come true. So I just wanted to have a little shout out at the beginning. And I'm so excited. I'm a little nervous, I'm not going to lie, because I love this concept so much, and it's what we're going to be talking about in this first episode. This is not planned. I'm speaking freely, and that's the concept of this podcast, is to create a space for people to be honest and real. So let's get started. My name is Gabriella Tomasetti. Some of you know me as Ella Saint. There's a whole story behind that, and we'll get into it. I am now 27 years old, born and raised in Miami. My family's from Venezuela, so I do speak Spanish, okay? And so let's bring it to when I was 6 years old, because it's the first memory that I can give you some context. When I was 6 years old, I knew that I wanted to be a singer, but I was very shy. And especially when you're Latina, I don't know if you guys can agree with me, but you're always put on the spot. There are no boundaries when you're Hispanic. So I didn't want to be the kid that was always like, que cante Gaby, que cante Gaby. And I just grew up very shy, very kind of to myself. I would say, no, I want to be a teacher. I want to do this, whatever. But deep down, I knew that I wanted to be an artist. And it actually came from, I don't know if you remember watching the Lizzie McGuire movie when she's singing in front of the whole auditorium. I was like, I'm going to do that one day. So fast forward, when I'm 12 years old and I'm in middle school, my mom was like, these kids are not staying home. I have a brother after school, so I'm going to put them in a music class. And I was like, okay, but again, super shy. I didn't want to be a part of it. I was forced to do it. And being there in music lab, I started developing the confidence to be an artist. So by the time that I'm 15, I decided to leave, and the group, because it was a cover band for teenagers. And over the 3 years, that's when I developed stage presence, confidence. When I started, I was terrible, truly terrible. But little by little, with practice and, doing it over and over again, I built the confidence. And by the time I was 15, I was like, no, I actually do want to make this my career. And by that time, my parents were seeing no, she's actually pretty good. So I leave. I start recording my first song ever, written by Gianco Gomez. And at that time, I also start doing makeup. So the reason I bring this up is because there are a lot of you that know me as an artist, and there are a lot of you that know me as a makeup artist. And a lot of you are confused to what I do, why I do it. And that's why I want to clear this up, because there's two sides to the story. So that's the music side for one part. Now, for makeup, I started doing my makeup because I'm in high school by this time, and I always grew up being bigger than the rest of the girls in my class. So for me, makeup, apart from being Latina y Venezolana, if you are Latina, antes muerta que sencilla. I've known that since I was 5 years old, okay? I grew up with that. And so beauty and makeup and doing your hair has always been part of the culture. So when I'm in high school, I start using makeup as a way to feel pretty, as a way to because you go to high school and you're in your uniform, you can't really stand out, right? And then on top of that, I'm already self-conscious that I'm not petite like everyone else. So for me, makeup became a mask. It became a thing for me to feel the slightest bit more confident. So at that age where I'm pursuing music, I start doing makeup, and when I'm 17, I record my first music video ever. And the director of the music video, Jeff, which is like a family member to us, like de cariño, he sees that I'm doing makeup and he's like, Gabby, do you want to work in this next music video that I have for another artist? So I'm 17. I grew up with a mom that has always pushed working, right? Like, make your money, be independent. So I'm like, yeah, of course. And that's when my makeup takes off. And then at the same time, I have music. So that's clearing up why people are like, wait, but is it makeup? Is it music? It always coexisted. And actually, because I did makeup in entertainment with music videos, photo shoots, I made contacts that helped me in my music. So it's always there helping each other. Then the pandemic hits, okay? No one's working. And I'm still putting out music, but the streaming service that I was using, it got crazy expensive. No one's working, right? So I was like, okay, let me put my music on hold and let me work so that I can make the money for the music. So I go do that, and all these doors in the makeup world start opening. I started doing makeup for Paulina Rubio, a lot of artists in music videos, and it just took off, right? After a while, my parents decide to separate. So then I move out, and now I have new responsibilities. So now the money I was making for the music was now the money to pay my rent, okay? And just life. And so little by little, I started separating from music, but I started growing spiritually a lot. So this is a very key part to this whole story because it's actually the whole purpose of this podcast. At the same time that I was 16, that's when I started having anxiety and depression, and that was the first age that I ever went to therapy. And so my journey to mindfulness, spirituality, everything started at that time. During the pandemic, when I'm working for the music, the whole thing, I start having my spiritual awakening, and I start learning a lot of things about love, life. I had already known a lot of mindfulness things, but this is way deeper, okay? And I always knew that there was something bigger than me. At that time, I have a cousin that he's an astrologer, and he asked me, he was like, what's your purpose? You need to know what your purpose is. And at that time, the only thing I could say is my purpose is to give love. And I didn't even know what that meant, but I knew it felt right to say that. I knew it was in my heart to say that my purpose is to give love because I love people. I love sitting down with people. I love hearing people. I love knowing people's stories and where they're at. And through who I am, which is a very analytical person, I can get to the root of a lot of things. So I start developing spiritually. I start growing spiritually. And I say, no, like my purpose is much bigger than music, makeup, all of these things. I knew that my success would come from who I am and not the things that I do. So all of this, because I know it's a little bit chaotic, but the music, the makeup, it all has formed me as a person. But overall, the passion, this whole purpose of the show is to create a space for people to be honest and to be real and to connect at a deeper level. I think that we live in a world that we're always trying to be someone, and we're always trying to be somewhere and have something and show off and, have validation externally. And the purpose of this podcast is to just bring it back and to have a moment to just be real, and say, you know what, I had a crappy day, or I had a beautiful day, or whatever it is, just being real. Now, the name of the podcast, Rellatable, as you can see, it has Ella written inside of it. The purpose, or the reason for the name, it came from when I was 16 and going through depression and anxiety for the first time. It was very scary because, and I even reflect about it a lot, because when I was 16, there wasn't enough awareness on mindfulness. When I was 16, if you went to therapy, you were crazy. I remember thinking that. I was like, no, none of my friends go to therapy. Like, you must be crazy if you go to therapy. And that's not true at all. I recommend it to everyone. Everyone needs therapy. Go find one because you need it. But it was very scary because of what I was going through at that time. I didn't find anyone else around me that understood what I was going through. I was questioning life. I was questioning a lot of things that at that age, there aren't many people around you that can give you answers. And I was looking for answers. I remember one time having a conversation with my cousin Lizzie. And I remember telling her, sometimes people don't need the right answers. They just need someone to relate to. Because at that time, even though I was questioning everything, what gave me more peace was hearing that someone else had gone through what I was going through. Does that make sense? Like, I was looking for answers and everything, but it felt more medicine to my soul knowing I wasn't alone, or knowing that I had someone I could connect to. I had someone that through them sharing their experience, I could be like, okay, I'm not going crazy. And so that's the name of this show, is Rellatable. And it's just to connect and to bring it back, like I said, and to create a community where we can share love. I'm a very romantic person, and the way that I speak is very lovely and sweet. I used to say, I'm cheesy. No, I'm not cheesy. I'm romantic in the way that I speak. And I would really like for all of us to create a community of love where we are not embarrassed to say, hey, you're beautiful. You have a lot of light within you. You have a lot of kindness, and just admire ourselves for being beautiful people, especially in the world we live in today. It's just a competition. And I have to be better than her. I have to be better than him. And it's like everyone's trying to tear each other down. And it's like, for what? You know, like we are all the divine consciousness of God, and we're here to enjoy life together. So that is the purpose of this show. And very quickly, because like I said, this is all free spoken. And I need to tell you about something that was put in my spirit, which is the next few episodes that are to come. So basically, recently, the message I've been getting from my guides is, Gabby, it's time for you to be your authentic self. And the person that I am is very spiritual. I'm like, and I mean this in the most humble way, I'm like the divine feminine, which is very intuitive, very soft, very spiritual, very creative, okay? And what was put in my spirit was, Gabby, it's time for you to be authentic. It's time for you to be real. And for a long time, I kind of hid my spirituality because I understand that a lot of people don't understand it. But I said, okay, if I can hold space for everyone else, people can hold space for me too, right? So in that, I said, okay, I'm very spiritual. I'm all about this world that you can see or hear me talking about. And I said, okay, so with this podcast, my intention is not to be a teacher. Not like all the episodes that I'm going to do are not to teach you concepts and things. But there are key things that I would love to leave you guys with. Okay, so I talk to myself all the time. And I said, okay, Spirit, okay, God, tell me, what are these things that I want to share with everyone? And I remember I was in my house and it flowed. You know when you watch a movie and the scientist gets the answers and they're just writing it on a board and like it was scribbling away and it was perfect? That's how it felt. So I asked that question and immediately I said, love yourself. It's all love, accountability, be present, and open yourself to learning. It just flowed. And so I had that voice inside of me say, go write it down. And I go and I write it down in that order. Love yourself, accountability, it's all love, be present, open yourself to learning. And I was going to walk away and something told me, no, look at it again. Look at the first letters of everything and see what acronym you can come up with. So I look at it, I write it down, and I see the word B.A.I.L.O, which I know sounds very random and people might not understand what this has to do with anything. But I see the word and I write it down, B.A.I.L.O. And first of all, my brother, if you ever ask my brother how he thinks of me when I was a kid, I was always dancing. I love dancing. That's just a side note. That has nothing to do with anything. But anyways, I see the word bailo and I write, okay, bailo in Spanish. Bailo is dance, but it's I dance, present tense. I dance. It's not I'm dancing, I will dance. No, I dance. And for me, dance is a balance, right? And at that time, I was going through a breakup. And I remember in my relationship, I always referred to life as a dance, as a give and take, as a flow of life. So the acronym B.A.I.L.O came to me so that I can share these concepts with you. So if you can remember the word B.A.I.L.O, you can remember be present, it's all love. Be present, accountability, it's all love, love yourself, and open yourself to learning. So those are the concepts that I will be speaking about in the next episodes. I hope that you stick around to hear these messages and these concepts, because I feel like if you can really tap into these things, you can live life a lot more aware, a lot more free when you really understand the concepts, and just a little more positive. So that's all that I have for today. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. The intention of this is to just have some time away from your hectic schedule and feel like you're catching up with a best friend. In my Instagram, my bio says, I'm your accountable best friend. And I am, because it all comes from love and it's all to help you. So thank you so much for tuning in to my first episode ever. And I can't wait to see you in the next one. I'm going to put my email address, the email address of the podcast, in the description. And if you, for any reason, want to reach out, please reach out to me through there. And I can't wait to see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye, you guys.